Hello everyone and welcome to Sharp Wrist Gaming, and I know it has been a while, guys, but all the excuses I can make in the world, the only thing I can tell you is hopefully we're coming back here. I've gotten some few ideas being away, so hopefully that's enough to spark the interest back into making these videos. For those of you who are still around, thank you so much. Thank all the new people who are showing up while I wasn't making videos, even thank you more to you guys. But this is going to be kind of a different video today. Showdown, VGC stuff will return because I still don't have a capture card. Got to get around to that at some point. But as of right now, I want to talk about something that has been plaguing the VGC community for quite almost every season I've been in it. Actually, every season I've been in it. You're going to be a little confused because there's Overwatch on the screen. There's a good reason for that. One of the main reasons I haven't been uploading as much is because I started playing Overwatch. I know I'm late to the game, but my computer can't handle recording and or streaming it, so I haven't been able to do that. And I've been loving playing it, so I've been wanting to enjoy the time that I enjoy playing it and play that instead of what I usually do. But I started playing some Pokemon VGC, so I saw this article the other day as I was scrolling through Overwatch stuff on my phone. This is from a website called heroesneverdie.com. It's an Overwatch League community thing, and this article is written by Ryan Gilliam. I don't know how to pronounce that correctly, but a link for the whole article will be in the description below if you guys want to read it yourselves. But it's titled, The Overwatch League Desperately Needs More Patches and More Heroes. So I'm not going to read the entire thing because you can do that on your own if you're really that interested in it. I just want to highlight key points and what made me draw comparisons to Pokemon VGC and kind of how it could apply to VGC. Now VGC's kind of screwed itself at this point where it's created or Pokemon in general has screwed the VGC competitive scene in such a way that how the rules are set up. So for this season, we have for those of you who don't know, I assume you would if you're clicking on this video to find out more about how it can be changed, but National Pokédex is currently the Pokemon you can use. So everything except for what are considered cover legendaries, which are most of the Ubers, and then the mythical Pokemon, which are typically given away through events, so they're a little harder to get. And I think that's it. Otherwise, they have to be Alolan born, and which for those of you who don't know, you can use Cantonian Pokemon in VGC. They just have to have their hidden abilities and stuff. It's weird. That's different video, different time. I don't even know if I'll do it because we're getting so late into that VGC meta. But so the thing I wanted to the main point I wanted to come to here, like all games, the best players tend to learn the meta fast. So kind of hopping right into this. So for those of you I guess I should explain Overwatch a little more for you because some people don't know Overwatch because it's the Pokemon channel. Overwatch is essentially what it is. It's a first-person team-based game where you're on 2 teams of 6 and you have a choice from, I think it's 17 heroes at this point, and they each do different things, and you construct your 6-person team, and then you do objectives versus each other. Sometimes it's capture points, where one person's defending a point, the team tries to capture it. If they capture it, there's a second point, go that. There's moving the payload, which you capture a point, and at that point it releases a cart that moves as long as you're on top of it, and then you try and get it to a couple other points while the other team tries to stop you. And then there is what's the other main one? I can't remember right now. So, but yeah, those are the main ones. And then yeah, so there's a whole competitive scene around it. There's esports teams, all that kind of stuff. So, like all games, the best players always tend to learn the meta fast. If you play the game for a living, like Overwatch League players do, it's more likely that you'll expect more changes to keep the meta healthy. This has presented somewhat of a problem in Overwatch League, and it boils down to something pretty simple. Overwatch needs more frequent patches for its pro league to survive. Now, if we think of this in a Pokemon standpoint, VGC has a different rule set every year. But we tend to see the players get really stale with, at least the teams get really stale within a couple months of the meta or the rule set being released. I think this year's done better than other years at having new Pokemon kind of shuffling in during each tournament. Like each Pokemon, like there will be a team comp that comes around. For example, there was the New York Rain Trick Room team where it was Gothitelle, Mega Mawile, Ludicolo, Politoed, and then usually Incineroar and something else. That was really popular. There's been a ton of them, so that was just a random one I pulled out. So that'll do really well in the tournament, and then people start using it a lot. And somebody else will be like, hey, guess what counters that? And then that will be the next big thing. So this season's really done a pretty good job of that. You still see like Landorus everywhere, Incineroar is now everywhere, that kind of stuff. But there's not huge shifts, but it's better than most years. And then what this is suggesting, for those of you who don't know, and it kind of talks about it here on the screen, there's what's called a dive meta, where essentially you'll have a couple of players who will dive on whatever point you're attacking. The attacking team will have a couple of people jump right in on top of the other team and kind of mess them up a little bit, and then the rest of the team will come in and finish them off. That was what dive meta was considered as. But now they have a new hero, my favorite hero, my bae, Brigitte, who counters that dive meta. She's able to bash things and stun them so they can't dive as easily and do damage. And as soon as they dive in, she stops them from doing that damage so the team can take care of them. So the meta there is kind of shifting away from that dive because she's able to stop that. But what they're saying is that there's not enough of that happening for this game to continue to grow like other games can. Because what was it saying here? It was like she was introduced in March and she's just now able to be used in competitive. Like there's not enough is what they're saying. There's not enough new heroes, not enough new patches, changing heroes to make them do things differently that would change up what's happening in the game. Because dive meta was everything for a long time, and now it's starting to switch again. And I'm not going to claim that I know everything about Overwatch because I just started playing. But this is just what I'm seeing from my standpoint here. So applying that back to Pokemon, because again, we're a Pokemon channel, we're talking about Pokemon here. We don't really get that kind of stuff in Pokemon. Again, we get like every season or every year it changes. And World is pretty early on, and I'm going to say early on. It's kind of a little over halfway through the year. It's in August, if I want to remember correctly. August is when Worlds is, so there's that gap at the end that's like it's nothing. So it's not the entire year that necessarily the meta needs to be intriguing, but it's still long enough that it's like people get bored. You get things like in 2015 there was Chalk, 2016 it was the Big Six, 2017 was also one of those little better years, but it was still just like Tapus everywhere. Pokemon's done a thing where they can't really introduce new Pokemon mid-season, and if they do, they're the mythical Pokemon that people can't use. So it's kind of shooting themselves in the foot. This year we got something a little bit different. I'm going to switch over to Showdown so we can just talk about Pokemon. We got Incineroar pretty recently. So we had Incineroar at the beginning of the season, obviously, but he didn't have his ability Intimidate. He was still really good. A lot of people used him. Fake Out, Low Kick, Flare Blitz, and Knockoff. He got Knockoff this year, which is really nice. And he was kind of there doing his thing, and then once Intimidate came around, he started being the man, the myth, the legend. So we already had Landorus doing that Intimidate, so it didn't exactly change up the meta a ton. I have seen a lot more Milotics, which is weird because Milotic did really well against Landorus too, so I don't know why it wasn't there to begin with. But I think it's because it's faster than Incineroar. I'm not entirely sure. We've seen Braviary come out of the woodwork because it's better against an Incineroar than a Landorus, especially because they can hit it with superpower super effectively. But you're seeing all these new things come out because Incineroar was introduced midway through to switch up the meta, and that's really the only thing we've gotten within the past couple of years where something new comes out and switches everything up. And they're going to be losing this more and more. I mean, if we get new starters, I'm assuming we would. And I don't know how VGC is going to work in the future, but like really new starters are without their hidden abilities are going to be the only thing they can do this with. And it kind of limitates things. Like if they were able to do this more often, it could switch up the game a lot more. Now, like they could feasibly do this mythical Pokemon. Their whole argument with not allowing mythical Pokemon is some of them, like Arceus, is technically mythical. They're a little overpowered, but again, the overpowered kind of works because you gotta work against that overpowered thing. Landorus has still been that thing. It's like, nothing can touch them, even though things can. Just people don't want to bring those things. But like Zeraora, I don't know if he's gonna be on here. Yeah, he's not even on here. Perfect Showdown. I love you. Can I do something that would allow me to use Zeraora? Zeraora, are you here? There he is. So Zeraora is going to be one of those new Pokemon that comes out pretty soon. And he could be one of those things that if they were to allow him into VGC, he could change out the meta quite a bit. He has the ability Volt Absorb, which allows him to heal damage if he's hit by an electric type move. And he does have a new electric attack, Plasma Fists, and where all normal moves become electric type moves this turn. So that's not as bad as I thought it was. For some reason I thought it was every move becomes electric, but it's just normal. So that makes more sense. So he can actually, like, we don't see a ton of normal types currently. Mega Kangaskhan shows up every once in a while. And that was one of the things they changed that I really liked, nerfing wise, but anyway, we're not talking about that. He could turn it to electric and then he's not affected. And he's got pretty decent stats. He's got 143 in speed, which is really freaking quick. And attack is 112. Special attack is nothing to scoff at either, 102. So if he were introduced into this meta, he could change it up quite a bit. For electric type attackers, we really only have Tapu Koko, Zapdos, Raichu. I can't even think of other electric types. Like I always try and switch up my electric types, but Magnetric is pretty popular. Magnezone's good, but I haven't seen too much of it this season. Mega Ampharos has gotten a lot of uses lately, which is, I love it. I love to see it. Rotom, surprisingly, not as much this season. Thundurus we've seen poke out every once in a while. Togedemaru, Xurkitree. So there is some good electric types, but again, this is just looking at how we could keep the meta interesting enough for people to stick around and stick out through the season, and new players to be like, hey, I can get into this because there's not a set meta that I'm going up against. It's constantly changing, so people are constantly having to change up what they're doing, so you don't get teams that are just like constantly getting better each tournament because it's the same team and they're just doing what they always have had to do because of the same meta. But I don't know, I feel like I'm starting to ramble a little bit. But the thing is, so Game Freak's argument, not every person has access to these Pokemon, but they could do this theoretically, because to play in a VGC tournament, you have to have the most recent patch update to your game. So you have to have some kind of online access to do that. So that means you could get these Pokemon through a special event. The thing that they would have to do is they couldn't make it a time thing. They would have to make it all season. As soon as it's available, they have to be able to make it go through the rest of the season. They can't be like, oh, only for this month you can get Zeraora. It'd have to be the whole year, and that would be the only way to make it fair, because maybe some people only update their game at a certain point. But again, at the same time, it's still like, hey, I'm not able to get this till I'm able to update my game, and I have to update my game, and then I'm going right into this tournament. Whereas you would have to update the game, get the Pokemon, train the Pokemon. It's the whole thing. So like, yeah, Pokemon's just such this cut off thing that you can play without internet, but you kind of need it for a second to be able to do tournaments. I don't know. What do you guys think? So I'm not going to continue to ramble. I've kind of thrown out my piece. I kind of want to see what the rest of you guys think. What do you think could be introduced into the Pokemon? Oh, I completely forgot about this. One other thing they could have done, and it's already been blown for this year. So take it in the future years. Next year we'll probably just get a region dex if they do a new region. I know nothing about the new Pokemon game. I don't want to make any speculations. But it'll probably be region. But if they ever do a national dex kind of thing again, where they want to have Z moves and megas and blah blah blah, is time release those things so the meta will change up with that. So they could have started off with a national dex, or what they could have done is, well, it is weird because it was a new game, so we already had Pokebank. But if we didn't have Pokebank to start off this game, so think of it this way. So at the beginning, only regional decks, so only Pokemon that are found in Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, natively, we could have used. Done that for like a month or two. Pokebank comes out, say, February or March, and then National Dex is open to everybody. Except, don't have Megas, don't have Z-moves. Which is weird. So you wouldn't even have Z-moves to begin with. So everybody's like, oh, now all these new Pokemon are coming in, I can change up my team, blah blah blah, move tutors, blah blah blah. And then, say May comes around, which is what we're in right now. Then allow Z moves or Mega Evolutions, and then again we got a whole shift in the meta to deal with that kind of stuff. And then, what did I say? Worlds is in August, so a couple months before that. So February do the all Pokemon National Dex. April do the either Megas or Z moves, and then June release the rest of it. So then it's like every 2 months, every other month, you have something new being introduced to the meta that completely changes it, and that keeps people, hey, I gotta do something new. It could be a little too much for people to be able to keep up with that kind of stuff, but I don't know. It's just a thought, just a few thoughts on this. A little weird. I just wanted, so this is the first video I've done in a while, so I just wanted something abstract coming back to the channel. We'll get back to what we used to do in due time, but I want to see what you guys think about this. What would you do to make the VGC meta more interesting for players, to keep them on their toes, so it's not just chalk, it's not just Big Six, it's not just Tapu and some other Pokemon. Yeah, what do you guys think? Anyways, thank you so much for joining us. If you did enjoy and you found some kind of information or interest from this video, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you have not already, I already said that. It's been a while. My outro is not as quick as it used to be, but we'll see you guys next time. Stay sharp, everyone.